Turkey's main opposition party, the CHP, is preparing to hold a mass rally in Istanbul. This more than a month now after the arrest of the city's mayor, Ekrem Imamoglu. His detention back in March sparked weeks of student-led protests that led to a fierce police crackdown. Well, rights groups say Turkey's judiciary is deliberately carrying out arbitrary detentions to create an atmosphere of fear. Well, France 24's Andrew Hilliar has just got back from reporting in Istanbul, and he joins me now in the studio. Hi, Andrew. Maybe we could start by, breaking down the opposition groups. Who is driving the opposition?
Well, the first thing to say, Angela, is that it's the students that were at the forefront of this movement right from the outset, right from the moment Ekrem Imamoglu, Istanbul's mayor, was arrested on March 19th, and even just before then. And, remember, many students have only ever known Recep Tayyip Erdogan as their country's leader. So they told us they feel suffocated by a system that they say can't be changed by voting. And what's happened is that the CHP, Turkey's main opposition party, has in a way inserted itself at the front of this movement, which was initially spearheaded by the students. So what the CHP is doing now is every Wednesday night it's holding a rally in a different district of Istanbul. These pictures you can see here are from last Wednesday in Hilliar, a district of Istanbul. Our team attended that rally. They're also holding rallies every Sunday in a different Turkish city as well. And just to give you an idea, Angela, of the wide demographic of protesters and people that come to these demonstrations, I want you to just take a listen to these protesters speaking to us last Wednesday.
If the government does not change, then my resolve will not change either. I will be out on the streets, at home, at work, at where I might, study. I will always stand my ground, even if I'm chained, even if I'm put to dungeons.
I'm totally agree that this movement will change everything, because everyone wants only democracy, not any violence or another thing. We only want our democracy back.
We just want to change this party, AKP, and Erdogan. We just want to, is the day he's gone.
But what's also interesting, I think, is that many of the people who support the opposition movement, they attend these rallies not because they support the CHP, but because they want to show their opposition to President Erdogan. One of those students who we met is Helene. We followed her for several days, and I just want you to take a listen to what she told us. She didn't attend that protest you just saw, but she did attend other protests. Take a listen.
This
isn't just something that happens because of Ekrem Imamoglu. We've already said that we were always targeted, that the conditions were bad, that we would no longer accept what the AKP has imposed on us for 23 years. This resistance is more than just a CHP gathering.
Now, there have also been claims that these protests are running out of steam. Now, what did happen is that during the post-Ramadan holidays, that led to a kind of hiatus as the students left big cities to go and spend the holidays with their family. Recep Tayyip Erdogan also extended the holiday to 9 days, a move that some interpreted as an attempt to sap momentum. It is also important to point out, however, that the AKP does enjoy huge support in Turkey, so that when President Erdogan accuses the protesters of being violent, many people in Turkey do take him at his word.
Now, some of those students that you reported on, that we've just seen, some of them have been arrested and detained. How are the other protesters reacting to that?
Well, what happens is that protesters are often detained. They can be detained for shouting slogans or for carrying banners, even at seemingly peaceful demonstrations, like a concert. You can see the pictures here. We filmed in Kadıköy on the Asian shores of Istanbul. There were a few detentions at the end of this protest. We always see a huge police presence at these events. And what we often see is this cycle of detentions and then releases. In one day, for example, more than 100 students were released. And then later that evening, more than 40 other students were arrested for taking part in in a political gathering. Students are often arrested for things which under Turkish law carry very small prison sentences, if any at all. So rights groups accuse the government of using the threat of arrest to intimidate protesters and to scare them off the streets. But many students we speak to say that isn't going to intimidate them. A good example of that is Jana, and you're going to see his pictures just now. A young student, here he is, arrested on March 24th and detained in Silivri prison for over 2 weeks. These pictures show his release. And this is the prison where Ekrem Imamoglu is also being held. And just listen to what Jana told us at the gates of that prison moments after his release.
From now on, we are going to continue the struggle with more strength and determination. We have also shown them that they cannot intimidate us. They can lock us up and detain us, but that won't stop us from fighting. On the contrary, we will continue to struggle with boycotts and resistance that's stronger and even more determined than before.
So, Angela, just while detentions are having a deterrent effect on some protesters, many do seem determined to keep protesting, as you just heard there.
And, you were saying that these are the biggest student protests since 2013, when there were major protests. How has the rights situation changed between 2013 and now?
Well, rights groups tell us that the public space in which people can express their opposition to the government is getting narrower and narrower. We actually spoke to Milena Buyum, who is a senior campaigner for Amnesty International in Turkey, and she said this is part of a trend which we've seen over the past 10 years. Take a listen to what she told our team.
I think there are very serious, very severe backsliding in human rights and restrictive laws and practices by the authorities that is limiting people's enjoyment of their rights. The use of the judicial processes, systems, especially of police detention and the possibility of pre-trial detention in prison, is intended to create an atmosphere of permanent fear.
And for its part, the Turkish government has always insisted and continues to insist that Ekrem Imamoglu will be tried in a fair and transparent manner.
OK, well, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much, Andy. Andy Hilliar there, just back from Turkey.